Hey, what's up guys? Peter Diaz here coming at you today. Just continuing the work that we've been covering over the last few videos. Been tucking wires, painting, removing stuff. It's just an ongoing ordeal, feels like. But getting close to the finish line. So what we're going to be doing today, going to be taking off the covers, the plastic covers from the engine, scuffing those down, scuffing them down, painting them, getting to the exhaust side of the block, prepping that for paint. You would have seen in the previous video the results from the intake side of the block. Overall, very happy with how it came out. A few touch-ups to do, but nothing major. And just continuing to put things back together, getting things ready for this season. Since I run the front mount Dizzy, I got to take the cap off and then take off the remaining screws and take those black covers off, scuff them down, get them ready for paint. Probably take advantage and take a few other items off while they're out. Well, I'm going to be painting anyway, and just do one setup for everything. Just going to paint it basic sem trim black. It's a nice neutral satin black that just goes well with these cars. And the other item, let me turn my light on, will be attacking the exhaust side of the block. So my oil pressure sensor is leaking. I'm going to be taking that out and addressing that. Also going to be moving and redoing the grounds from the block. These are the grounds, the OEM grounds. I just threw them on when we were building the car back up. I've always wanted to come back around to addressing them and just putting some nice thicker gauge wire, some nice O-ring terminals, and yeah, just cleaning things up, continuing to clean things up. These front mount Dizzies are great when you're running an OEM ECU. That way you don't have to bang out your firewall in the back and you can still run the factory electronics. Keeps things super simple. Only downside is when you gotta mess with it, it's a little bit of a pain to take off, but nothing crazy. You got the 3 bolts for the cap, and then all the bolts, and 4 bolts in the front, and bolts up top. We'll start taking those out. So top cover, front cover are off. Now I gotta loosen up the alternator so that I can get the belt off and then take the water pump pulley off, and I can sneak the mid cover off. I went ahead and scuffed these down. Just use a simple scuffing pad, nothing special. Give it a few more passes just to kind of get all the sheen, give it a good texture for the paint to stick to. These are going to be going the same sem trim black. Next step is going to be to wipe them down with Prepsol, get all the oils and anything else that's been embedded on it through the years, and get a nice clean surface that the paint will stick to. Well, back at it today. It's a rainy Saturday here in New Jersey. Continuing on with the 2024 season prep with the car. I ended up dropping the plastic covers off to a good friend of mine, Ben Acevedo. I tried painting them here at home. I didn't have the right prep method and plastic promoter to use, so the finish came out terrible. Showed it to him. He said to bring them by to him, and he'll take care of them. So those are off at his shop to get painted. In the meantime, I'm going to continue on with the exhaust side of the block. Need to pop the starter off, and that side is nice and free to begin prepping. As I had said earlier in the video, I had to take the oil pressure sender off, which is this hole here. But in order to do that easily, it's had to take the oil filter off. I also had to take this drain bolt off, which drains the antifreeze to the block itself. So, you know, when you disconnect the antifreeze the hoses, that takes out the majority of everything that's in the system. But a lot of it still stays in the block, which is fine. I mean, depending on what it is that you have to do. But just in case, if you ever need to, for whatever reason, you can remove this bolt here, and that will drain the remainder of the coolant that's in the system, in the block and the head. It all comes out through there. So I had to take that off, take the filter off, which then gave me enough space to get a open and wrench back there and get that sensor off. So we're good there. Got a new sensor going in. Make sure I put some sealant on the thread so that nothing leaks through. I'll replace that damp towel there. Oil's been soaked up. I got to finish getting the starter off. I want to clean up that wiring on the starter as well while it's out, and then begin scuffing the block down for paint. To take the starter off of these, this is just a T50 trans on a 4A block, so it's two 14mm bolts, and you got the one that's up there and one directly beneath it. I'll have to get underneath the car to reach that one, but this one I already went ahead and loosened up with the opening wrench. That one's ready to go. Get underneath the car, pop out the other one. Starter's out. I just gotta undo the wiring that goes to the positive battery terminal. I want to redo all the loom for this. It's all old and beat up. Time for a refresh. So just need to loosen up the Allens that are on the battery terminal and cut some of this old tape. It's easier to find the seam that's underneath it. Hate taking apart old tape. Thankfully, this was only done like a year and a half ago, so it's not that bad. But the older it is, the worse it is to find. And that's it. So go ahead and refreshen this whole connection. I mean, it's long overdue. This thing is super old. And while I'm at it, replace all this wire loom with something more updated, and that can protect it from the heat. But now that side of the block, I just got to move a few more things and we'll be good to start degreasing and getting ready for paint. Bring this. You can see it's nice and open now. I went ahead and scuffed the block down with a regular red scuff pad. Hit it with some purple power just to get rid of some of that oil contamination that was on it. So soaks, scuffed, rinsed it off with some water, and then finally just rinsed it off with some Prep-Sol just to decontaminate it again. Turn the heater on to get things warmed up in here. Just getting things above 70. Give the area a nice warm feel. The warmer the better for this type of material. But we'll let things dry out a bit. Come back, hit it with some air to get rid of any water pockets or solvent pockets that are left. Just double check that everything's nice and dry, and then we'll mix the paint and lay down the first coat of paint. Also, we'll get the masking done. Don't have to do too much masking on this side. We'll just mask up the oil pump in the front. Motor mount. Not a whole lot that has to be masked. Since I'm spraying it with a brush, since I'm painting it with a brush, I'm able to control the application, which allows me to not have to go too crazy masking. I covered everything up. Don't have to go too crazy. Like I said, I'm applying it with a paintbrush. I just go with light coats. It's two light coats. I just covered some of the suspension stuff, cross member, motor mount, a little bit of the oil pump in front, and then just drape to cover. Make sure I don't drip on any of the body. I'm also going to be touching up the distributor. Again, just some light taping. Make sure I don't drip on anything critical. I'll start mixing it up. Real quick, I just wanted to show the product that I'm using. It's a Eastwood product, high temp ceramic engine paint. I think the part is there if anybody needs it. That's the paint itself, and then they send the urethane activator with it. But super simple. Mix it 4 parts paint to 1 of that. You just get yourself a measuring cup and mix it to the right ratio, and you're good to go. Once it's mixed, you have 2 hours pot life to work with it. They recommend doing 20 minutes in between coats. They also recommend it being between 70 and 80 degrees, so turn the heat on. It's looking like it's 79 in here now, so we're good. Got plenty of time to work while it cools down. Shut the heat off. And yeah, that's it. So we'll brush that on. Just using a regular brush from the paint store. Nothing special. And you know, get the first coat on. Wait the 20 minutes. Apply the second coat. We'll be good to go. And then, just for reference, we'll that's what it looks like the first side. This has now been a few days since it got done. Looking really good. Really happy with it. First coat is done. Trying to make sure I got as much coverage as I can, but so far looking good. Second coat is done. Now we just let it dry. 24 hours, so we'll leave this side alone. I'll peel the tape off probably in about an hour or so, and then just let it dry. 24 hours, I'll start messing with the other side, putting it back together. But really happy with how it came out. It's a really good product. Definitely recommend it. If you're dealing with a situation like mine where I'm trying to touch up and not take the engine out of the car. Now, if I had the luxury of being able to take the engine out and had the time and everything and the resources, I would have absolutely loved to have taken it out and done this the right way. But due to time crunch and just general resources, I had to do what I could with what I had. So there you go. And now we'll get back to this side and start taking all this stuff apart. Well, not apart, but taking all this tape and stuff off and piecing this side back together so we can get it running again. So there you have it. That's been the process for painting the engine. I covered it over the last video. The video you just watched and the one previous. Pretty straightforward process, nothing too difficult. If I had to do it again, I'd probably get better quality brushes. That'd be the one thing I'd probably do differently. The brush that I had just started coming apart towards the end there. So definitely higher quality brush just to get into the nooks and crannies a little bit better. But everything else was great. Product is great. Definitely recommend that Eastwood product to brush it on if you're in a situation like that. Next, like I said, just putting it back together. That'll be the next video that we cover, and getting things ready for the season. Hope you like what you saw. If you liked it, please click like, subscribe, comment, give me feedback. Just let me know what you'd like to see. If you don't like what you're seeing, just let me know. Hopefully I'm making some content that's useful for anybody that's watching this video. And if it's not, at least it's enjoyable, I hope. All right, peace.